What if one dream could change the course of history? What if a child saw a vision so extraordinary that it would shape his future, shake an entire family, and eventually transform the destiny of a nation? This is not a legend or a myth. It is the true story of Prophet Yusuf, known as Joseph, a story of faith, patience, betrayal, and hope. But before he became one of the greatest prophets, he was simply a young boy with a pure heart and a dream that no one could have imagined. Welcome back to You Chanel the Storyverse. Today, we begin one of the most beautiful stories ever told, the story of Prophet Yusuf. This journey will take us through moments of joy, heartbreak, danger, and incredible miracles. Let's begin where it all started. Long before Yusuf became a respected leader in Egypt, he lived peacefully with his family in the land of Canaan. He was the son of Prophet Yaqub, known in English as Jacob, a noble prophet and the grandson of Prophet Ibrahim, or Abraham. This was a family chosen by God to guide people toward righteousness, and faith was at the center of their lives. Among all of Yaqub's children, Yusuf stood out. He was not only remarkably handsome, but also gentle, kind, and sincere. His character reflected honesty far beyond his years. Whenever people looked at him, they saw a child with exceptional manners and a calm spirit. His father loved all of his children, but Yusuf and his younger brother Binyamin held a special place in his heart. It wasn't because Yaqub wanted to favor them unfairly. Rather, Yusuf possessed qualities that naturally inspired affection, and after losing their mother, Yaqub cared deeply for the two youngest boys. Yet not everyone viewed this love the same way. Yusuf's older brothers began noticing how often their father smiled at him, spoke kindly to him, and kept him close. Instead of appreciating Yusuf's goodness, jealousy slowly entered their hearts. At first, it was only a passing feeling. But jealousy has a dangerous habit. It grows quietly, often without anyone realizing it. Every day, those feelings became stronger. What makes Yusuf so special? Some of them wondered. Why does father always seem happier when Yusuf is around? Instead of asking these questions with honesty, they allowed bitterness to replace reason. And little by little, that bitterness would prepare them for a decision they could never have imagined making. But none of them knew that something extraordinary was about to happen. One peaceful night, while the stars filled the sky above Canaan, young Yusuf fell asleep. Then he saw something unlike anything he had ever witnessed before. In his dream, 11 stars appeared before him. Then the sun and the moon joined them. Astonishingly, all of them bowed before him. It was a vision unlike any ordinary dream. When Yusuf awoke the next morning, his heart was racing. The dream felt vivid and real, as though it carried a message beyond his understanding. Though he was still only a young boy, he sensed that this dream was important. Unable to keep it to himself, Yusuf hurried to the one person he trusted more than anyone, his father. With innocence and excitement, he approached Prophet Yaqub and said that he had seen 11 stars, the sun and the moon prostrating before him. The moment Yaqub heard those words, his expression changed. This was no ordinary dream. As a prophet blessed with wisdom and understanding, Yaqub immediately recognized that this vision carried a profound meaning. It was a sign from Allah, pointing toward an extraordinary future awaiting his beloved son. He understood that one day Yusuf would be honored with a position of great importance. He would receive divine blessings and become someone whom many people would respect. The dream was not about stars or planets themselves. It symbolized events that would unfold many years later, according to the wisdom and plan of Allah. But alongside hope came concern. Yaqub knew his older sons well. He had already noticed the jealousy growing inside them. If they learned about such an incredible dream, their resentment could become even more dangerous. With calmness and love, he gently advised Yusuf not to tell his brothers about what he had seen. He explained that jealousy can push people toward terrible actions, and that Satan always seeks opportunities to create division between family members. Yusuf listened carefully. He respected his father's wisdom completely, and promised to keep the dream a secret. At that moment, neither father nor son knew exactly how difficult the years ahead would become. For a short time, life continued as usual. Yusuf spent his days helping his family, learning from his father, and growing in both knowledge and character. Every lesson Yaqub taught him strengthened his faith and prepared him for responsibilities he could not yet understand.
Meanwhile, the older brothers watched from a distance. Although they knew nothing about the dream itself, their jealousy refused to disappear. In fact, it continued to grow. Every smile between father and son seemed to increase their frustration. Every kind word spoken to Yusuf felt in their minds like proof that they were somehow less important. What began as envy was slowly transforming into something much darker.
As the days passed, Yusuf remained the same humble and kind-hearted child. He treated each of his brothers with respect, never realizing the silent battle taking place inside their hearts. He had no desire to compete with them, no wish to replace them, and certainly no intention of becoming the center of attention. He simply loved his family, but jealousy rarely listens to reason. His brothers began spending more time together, whispering whenever Yusuf was not around. At first, their conversations seemed harmless, but gradually, they became more serious. They convinced themselves that their father loved Yusuf more than all of them. Instead of seeing Yaqub as a loving father trying to care for every one of his children, they allowed suspicion to cloud their judgment. We are older, we are stronger, we work harder, so why does father always keep Yusuf close to him? The questions echoed in their minds day after day until they no longer searched for answers. They searched for someone to blame. And that someone was Yusuf. The more they looked at him, the more their jealousy grew. Every smile from their father felt like another wound. Every moment Yusuf spent beside Yaqub became another reason for resentment, yet Yusuf noticed none of it. He continued helping with daily tasks, listening carefully whenever his father spoke, and learning lessons about faith, honesty, and patience. Yaqub understood that true greatness begins long before a person receives honor. It begins with good character. He taught Yusuf that wealth may disappear, power may fade, and beauty may change with time, but faith and righteousness remain forever. Those lessons would soon become the foundation that carried Yusuf through the greatest trials of his life. Meanwhile, something dangerous was taking shape among the older brothers. Their jealousy had reached a point where simply complaining was no longer enough. One evening, away from their father and away from Yusuf, they gathered together. Their conversation took a darker turn than ever before. One brother finally spoke the words that many of them had secretly been thinking. Father will never look at us the same way as long as Yusuf is here. Silence followed. No one objected immediately. Another brother added, if Yusuf were gone, Father's attention would finally return to us. The idea hung in the air. It was shocking. They were speaking about their own brother, a child, the son of the same father. For a brief moment, some of them hesitated. Deep inside, they knew these thoughts were wrong. They understood that jealousy had carried them to a dangerous place. But when people allow envy to control their hearts, small sins often become larger ones. Soon, another suggestion was made. What if we simply remove him from our lives? Some proposed an unthinkable solution. Others searched for a less violent alternative. Yet every proposal shared the same goal. Yusuf had to disappear. Far away from this secret meeting, Yusuf knew nothing about what was happening. He rested peacefully under the protection of his father, completely unaware that those closest to him were beginning to plot against him. At the same time, Yaqub sensed that something was changing within the family. Although he could not see the conversations taking place, the wisdom Allah had granted him made him cautious. He often kept Yusuf close. He watched his older sons carefully. His concern grew with each passing day. Still, he placed his trust in Allah. He knew that whatever happened would happen according to Allah's perfect wisdom. As for Yusuf, the mysterious dream remained in his heart. Sometimes he thought about the stars. Sometimes he remembered the sun and the moon bowing before him. He still did not understand its meaning. How could a young shepherd boy living quietly with his family ever imagine the incredible future waiting ahead? He couldn't, neither could his brothers, neither could anyone else, but Allah's plan had already begun. The dream was not merely a beautiful vision. It was the first chapter of a story that would change countless lives, a story of betrayal, a story of patience, a story of forgiveness, and soon that story would take its first heartbreaking turn. The brothers had made their decision. All that remained was convincing their father to let Yusuf leave with them. What they planned to do afterward would alter the course of history forever. Coming next, the brothers' betrayal. Will Prophet Yaqub allow Yusuf to leave with his brothers? What secret plan have they prepared? And how will a lonely well in the middle of the wilderness become the beginning of one of the greatest journeys ever told? Those answers await in part 2.